The first question arises, what is cell? Cell is the structural and functional unit of life. Here, two words come, one structural and second functional. What do you understand by a structural? A structural unit means building blocks. Whatever body you see, that is result of combination of cells, just like bricks in the structural unit of house. Now, what do you understand by functional unit? Functional unit means whatever function our body organ do is the result of combination of function of cell. For example, our heart is made up of large number of cells. All cells work together to carry out the function of pumping of blood. Similarly, all cells of kidney or other organ work together to carry out a specific function. Now, first of all, the cell is discovered by Robert Hooke. He observed a dead cork cell. He found hexagonal boxes which he termed as cell. But the first of all living cells is discovered by Antony von Leeuwenhoek. Antony von Leeuwenhoek was the first person to absorb human cells and bacterial cells. Now, let's come to the cell theory. The cell theory is proposed by Sladen and Swan. The theory has three main points. First, the cell is the smallest unit of a structure of all living organisms. And second, the cell is the functional unit of all living organisms. And third, all cells arises from pre-existing cells. Out of these three, two we have already discussed. Let's discuss about the third one, that is, all cell arises from pre-existing cells. Right. Whatever the cells form, that are the result of cell division of pre-existing cells. Now, whatever the cell you see, these cells is of different size, right? For example, the smallest cell is of bacteria that measures about 0.3 to 0.5 micrometer. But the smallest cell is present in PPLO, that is pleuropneumonia-like organism. It is also known as mycoplasma. It plays between virus and bacteria, and its size is about 0.1 micrometer. The largest cell is ostrich cell. You know that ostrich egg is the largest cell in this world. In a human being, RBC is the smallest cell. But in human being, nerve cell is the largest cell. In male, a sperm cell is the smallest cell. Right? Now, come to the next. Shape of the cell. You know, whatever the cell we have, they all are of different shape, like cubical shape, like columnar shape, like irregular shape, like spindle shape, like rectangular shape, like biconcave shape. Cubical shape is present in your germinal epithelium. Irregular shape is present in your WBC and neurons. Spindle shape is present in your smooth muscles. Rectangular shape is present in your skeletal muscles. And you know, RBC, whatever we have, that is your biconcave shape. The shape of WBC is also called amoeboid shape. Means whatever the WBC we have, that is of amoeboid shape, means amoeba like a structure. What does it mean? It means that the cell is of different shape, right? Now we know that cells are very small in size. Why it is small in size? Why it is not large? The smallness of cell facilitates a very important function to the cell. What was that? That is, due to the small size, it increases the surface area. It increases the surface area, and increase in surface area facilitates the transportation of nutrition into the cell. It facilitates more and more nutrition transportation into the cell, and also elimination of metabolic waste from interior to outside. You know that all the cells needs respiratory gases, oxygen, for the cell respiration. So this increased surface area facilitates the more diffusion of respiratory gases, and also the smallness of cell also easily replace the damaged cell, right? The smallness of cell easily replace the damaged cell. So these are the importance of a smallness of your cell, right? Now you know that the cell is of two types. One is called prokaryotic cell and second is called eukaryotic cell. Prokaryotic cell is also called primitive cell, right? Now let's see what are the prokaryotic cells and what are the eukaryotic cells and what are the difference between them. So first difference between the prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells is on size of the cell. So a typical prokaryotic cell's size is 0.2 to 2 millimeter in diameter, but an eukaryotic cell is of 10 to 100 millimeter in diameter. Nucleus. In prokaryotic cells, no nuclear membrane is present, but in eukaryotic cells, true nucleus consisting of nuclear membrane and nuclei is present. Next, membrane enclosed organelles. You know that in prokaryotic cells, the cell organelles are absent. Means membrane enclosed organelles are absent. But in eukaryotic cells, the membrane enclosed organelles are present, like lysosome, Golgi complex, endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, and chloroplast. These cell organelles are present in your eukaryotic cells. These organelles are membrane bonded organelles. Next, flagella. In prokaryotic cells, flagella consists of two protein building blocks, but in eukaryotic cell it is a complex, consists of multiple microtubules. Next, glycocalyx. Glycocalyx is present as a capsule or slime layer. In eukaryotic cell, it is present in some cell that lack a cell wall. Means in which cell wall is absent, then in some cells the glycocalyx is present. Now come to the cell wall. The cell wall is usually present, chemically complex, typically in bacterial cell, including peptidoglycans. Means in bacterial cells, cell wall is present, but that is made up of peptidoglycans. But in eukaryotic cells, they are chemically simple. You know that in plant cell, the cell wall is made up of cellulose. Next, plasma membrane. In eukaryotic cells, no carbohydrate and generally lacks asterols. But in eukaryotic cells, asterols and carbohydrate serve as a receptor present. Means a distinct plasma membrane is present in your eukaryotic cell that is made up of carbohydrate and asterols. Next, cytoplasm. No cytoskeleton or cytoplasmic stemming takes place in your prokaryotic cells, right? But in eukaryotic cells, there is a cytoskeleton and cytoplasmic stemming takes place. Now, next your ribosome. You know, ribosome is of two types. One is your 70S and second is your 80S. Ribosome play a very important role in your cell. It is a site of protein synthesis. So, ribosome is small in size and 70S type is present in your prokaryotic cells. But in eukaryotic cells, it is large in size and 80S is present. In a small eukaryotic cells, obviously 70S is present. Now, come to the DNA, that is the chromosome arrangement. In prokaryotic cells, single cellular chromosomes lack histone protein. Means, in DNA of prokaryotic, histone protein is not present. But in eukaryotic cells, your chromosome is present with histone protein. Histone is a type of protein, right? So eukaryotic DNA have histone protein, but your prokaryotic do not. Now come to the cell division. Prokaryotic cells usually undergo cell division through binary fission, but in eukaryotic cells, the mitosis and meiosis takes place. Right? Now, come to the next point. That is your sexual reproduction. In prokaryotic cells, no meiosis. So, the transfer of DNA fragments only, that is called conjugation. Means, in prokaryotic cells, no sexual reproduction takes place. But in eukaryotic cells, sexual reproduction takes place because cell divides through meiosis. Right? So these are the difference between the prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. Now come to the next slide. A structure of cell. The cell consists of three essential parts. That is your cell membrane. Next, cytoplasm. Third, your nucleus. All cells is made up of these three parts. We will discuss one by one, but let's discuss about the protoplasm first. The protoplasm is the living substance in an organism, and protoplasm consists of cytoplasm plus nucleus. Now, let's start with the cell membrane. The cell membrane is surrounded by cell membrane or plasma membrane. The cell membrane is living and has fine pores through which substance may enter. Means the cell membrane is the outer covering of your cell, and each cell membrane have a small pores through which the transportation of materials takes place. You know that the cell membrane is selective permeable, means the transportation of different materials takes place through your cell membrane. Your cell membrane is made up of lipoprotein, means lipid plus protein. The protein is embedded in the sea of lipid. That's why this membrane is called lipoprotein. It is selective impermeable. Means plasma membrane is very selective impermeable. Means it allows only certain substance to pass through it. That's why it is called semi-permeable. The cell wall is present in plant cell and it is made up of cellulose. You know that cell wall is present in your plant cell and that cell wall is made up of your cellulose. The cell wall is freely permeable, allowing the substance in solution to enter and leave without any hindrance. Means whatever the cell wall is present in your plant cell, that cell wall is freely permeable and allows all the substances pass through it without any hindrance. This cell wall is a rigid and provides shape to the plant. You know, plant cell is a very hard due to the presence of this cellulose cell wall. Right? Now come to the next slide. Let's discuss about the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is a thick solution that fills each cell and is enclosed by cell membrane. It is mainly composed of water, salt and protein. In eukaryotic cells, the cytoplasm includes all the material inside the cell and outside of the nucleus. All the cell organelles in eukaryotic cells such as nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria are located in cytoplasm. The portion of cytoplasm that is not contained in the organelles is called cytosol. Although cytoplasm may appear to have no form of structure, it is actually highly organized. A framework of protein, a scaffold called cytoskeleton, provides the cytoplasm and the cell with their structure. Cytoplasm is a semi-liquid substance. Means cytoplasm is the area between the plasma membrane and nucleus. Whatever the fluid a cell have in between the plasma membrane and nucleus, that is called cytoplasm. The cytoplasm contains all the cell organelles, whatever the cell organelles present, like your mitochondria, like your lysosome, like your endoplasmic reticulum, like your Golgi body. These all cell organelles are present in your cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is colorless and transparent. Means cytoplasm do not have any color and it is transparent, and all the chemical reactions takes place in your cytoplasm. Whatever the reactions taking place in the living body, that all reactions are carried out in your cytoplasm of the cell. Right? Now come to the next slide. Now let's discuss about the cell organelles. We have already discussed that cell have a different type of cell organelles, and all the cell organelles performs different function. Right? Some cell organelles are mitochondria, ribosome, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies, vacuoles, plastids, lysosome, centrosome and centrioles. These all cell organelles performs a specific function to maintain the cell. Right? All the cell organelles perform their respective function to make the cell alive. So let's discuss the functioning of all the cell organelles one by one. Your first cell organelle is your mitochondria. Your mitochondria is membrane bonded organelles, and this mitochondria is present in your cytoplasm. This mitochondria contains a cistern-like structure. This cistern-like structure is very crucial for the mitochondria because the breakdown of pyruvic acids takes place in your cistern, right? Actually, the mitochondria are typically round to oval in shape and range in size from 0.5 to 10 micrometer. Mitochondria is also known as powerhouse of the cell because this mitochondria mainly involves in the production of energy through the cellular respiration. Cellular respiration when glucose molecule reacts with oxygen to form carbon dioxide, water molecule and eliminates huge amount of energy. Release of energy takes place in your mitochondria. That's why it is called powerhouse of the cell. In addition to producing energy, mitochondria also stores calcium for the cell. You know, calcium is a very important nutrition for the cell and generating heat and mediate cell growth and death. The number of mitochondria per cell varies widely. For example, in human eukaryote do not contain any mitochondria, whereas liver cells and muscle cells may contain 100 or even 1000 numbers of mitochondria. So, in the cell, the number of mitochondria varies from cell to cell. Some cells have few mitochondria, but some cells have large number of mitochondria. And also, mitochondria contains their own DNA. Right, mitochondria contains their own DNA through which it can replicate. So, mitochondria have the capability to replicate because it contains DNA. Whatever the energy is produced in the mitochondria that get stored in the form of ATP, that is your adenosine triphosphate. This ATP is also called currency of energy. So whatever the energy is produced in the mitochondria gets stored in the form of your ATP in your body. Now let's come to the next slide. Your next cell organelle is your ribosome. You know, ribosome is the site of protein synthesis. It provides site for the protein synthesis, and the size of ribosome is about 10 nanometer in diameter. It is present in a large amount in all living cells. Ribosome occurs both as free particles in a prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, and as the particles attached to the number of the endoplasmic reticulum in eukaryotic cells. Right? Means this ribosome remains attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. The small particles that come to know as ribosome were first described in 1955 by American biologist George A. Plaidy, who found them to be frequently associated with endoplasmic reticulum in eukaryotic cells. You know, this ribosome is of two types. One is called 70S and second is your 80S. 70S ribosome is present in your prokaryotic cells and 80S ribosome is present in your eukaryotic cells. This ribosome is made up of two subunits. One is called large subunit and second is called small subunit. Right, and the junction through which these units are attached with each other, at that place the protein synthesis takes place. Right, so come to the next slide. Next is your endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum is a dynamic structure and serve many roles in the cell, including calcium storage, protein synthesis, and lipid metabolism. The endoplasmic reticulum is the largest organelle in the cell and the major site of protein synthesis and transportation, protein folding, lipid and steroid synthesis, carbohydrate metabolism, and calcium storage. Right? This endoplasmic reticulum extends from nucleus to the plasma membrane. This endoplasmic reticulum is of two types. One is called a smooth endoplasmic reticulum and second is called rough endoplasmic reticulum. At the surface of rough endoplasmic reticulum, there is a ribosome is present. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum stores the key enzymes and produces product of these enzymes. And the rough endoplasmic reticulum metabolize carbohydrate and regulate calcium concentration, drug detoxification, and attachment of receptor to the cell membrane protein. So, this is all about the cell membrane, plasma membrane, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, and ribosome. About next cell organelles, we will discuss in the next video. Thank you.